Hey y'all, I'm an I-78. I am back. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Happy Democratic Vice Presidential Running Mate Selection Tuesday. All right, y'all. So if you have not heard, oh, Democratic presidential representative, because ain't nobody voted and nominated her for shit. Um, Kamala Harris has made her VP or her running mate selection. Now, for all of y'all that's all excited, you know what I'm saying? She a woman of color. She gonna look out for the people. All this and all of that. Y'all still feeling like that after this pick? Just let me know. So, in case you have been working, otherwise engaged, or just don't give a damn, Kamala Harris has picked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. Apparently, she couldn't find no man of color or a black man specifically to partner up with her. She got to go, you know what I'm saying, go find Zaddy. Hey Prime, what's going on? So we got Eric in the house. Eric, appreciate you always here to support. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Prime in the house. What you say? What people have come out? Listen, I'm just saying. So I don't want to hear, you know what I'm saying, all the folk. You know what I'm saying? We got to look out for our own and this and that and the third. Cause here a prime opportunity to look out for your own. And what happened? You went straight back to what you know. Cause that's your own. You ain't us. Like, let's be for real. Y'all folks been riding Donald Trump for the better part of a week because he said she turned black. He didn't know nothing about that. Which, hold on. I'm over here talking. I have to strike this all in the wrong ear. Which is true. She ain't black. He was like, this is news to me. I ain't know she was black. Um, so yeah, for those of y'all who don't know about Zaddy Tim, he again is the governor of Minnesota. Why is that important? Because Minnesota is where George Floyd was killed. He actually was the governor at the time that took place. He was elected in 2018 and then reelected in 2022. Mm-hmm. So he was governor when this took place. He was governor during all the chaos, and he been governor ever since. And because he this is how this relates to black people, and because he said there should be an investigation into what happened, as far as George Floyd is concerned, black people want to act like that makes him an advocate for us. Like, are you fucking serious? He served in the army for 24 years. He really has not really been involved in, as far as I can tell, any major controversies. He ain't really got nothing going on, which is why a lot of people think she chose him. But for more information, we're gonna let CBS fill us in. I actually was able to watch some of this morning. I had a meeting to go to. But I mean, I think it's boring. I think it's typical. I will say this: since she didn't pick Shapiro, she definitely ain't winning Pennsylvania. So it kind of really don't even matter at this point. Minnesota's not a swing state, not one that she has to have to be president. So I don't get it. It had to be. It had to be some other folk, but you know, this is what she did. Child, what's going on, G Drew? I don't want no curry in my greens. I don't, y'all put too much stuff in your greens. All you need in your greens is some either some smoked turkey or some ham hock, a little bit of salt and pepper. Like, it just don't take all this shit y'all be adding, curry powder and onions and garlic and all this shit. It don't take all that. But nah, I don't want stiff ass curry. Unless she gonna bring some curry chicken. Now that shit might be fire. You know, hell. It might be on point. She can do that, but leave the greens to the experts. Namely myself. It just don't take no whole bunch of stuff. But let us go ahead and get into this, because we gonna be around for a short time and a good time, not a long time, because we got business to take care of this evening. I will be covering Kamala and Walz's first rally together. We're also going to take a look at what JD Vance has to say, because for some reason this week everybody is in the same state at the same time. They are both in Philadelphia today. Tomorrow they're both going to be in Michigan. Vance is going to be in Detroit, and Kamala is going to be in Eau Claire. And then Thursday they were both supposed to be in Raleigh. So far it looks like Kamala's camp has canceled because we're anticipating some of that dotty weather. But Vance was like, I'll be here. So we'll see if she changed her mind. But we're gonna have coverage. So let's go ahead and get this started.
On the Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. And as we just reported to you, we are learning that Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, age 60, will now be Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate in the upcoming presidential election. Let's tell you a little bit about Governor Tim Walz. Again, he is 60 years old. He assumed office in January 2019. He served as a U.S. representative from 2007 to 2019. He also served as the ranking member of the Committee on Veterans Affairs. He is a former public school teacher as well. Again, Kamala Harris now confirming to CBS News, her team is confirming that Governor Tim Walz is her running mate in the upcoming presidential election. This is someone who is the governor of Minnesota. Again, Minnesota is not a swing state, doesn't have a very large national profile. So this will be someone that the American voter population will be learning much more about in the coming days and weeks ahead of this presidential election. Here's a CBS News special report.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Gayle King here in New York. We have just learned the name of the Democratic Party's vice presidential nominee. CBS News has confirmed that the party's leader in November, Kamala Harris, has chosen, there you see it on your screen, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. He is a former congressman and a retired Army National Guardsman who was elected governor 6 years ago. The Democratic ticket will appear together at a rally in Philadelphia later tonight. Let's go right now to Weijia Jiang. She's at the White House. Weijia, they held this a secret right up until the very, very end. What else can you tell us about Governor Walz?
And Gail, that is because this is a decision that came down to the wire for Vice President Harris. In fact, we were told that when she went to bed last night, she still didn't know because she wanted to sleep on it. But then this morning, she woke up and it came to her, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. And Gail, when I look at all the facts about Walz, here's what stands out. He is a winner. He was elected 6 times to represent Minnesota in Congress. He is now in his 2nd term as governor. He is very popular, and he has a voting record on the issues that really lines up with Harris. After George Floyd was killed in his state, he passed a massive police reform package. He said that there would be no abortion under his watch in 2022. And on economics, he says the Democrats really need messaging and to make it more clear. And Gail, let's talk about messaging for a minute and the power of one word. In the early days that Vice President Harris was going to become the likely nominee, we were not talking about Tim Walz. And then he went on television and he said one word. He said Republicans were weird. And then he gained a lot of attention and his profile soared. And then it never really stopped. And today, again, we can report that he will be joining Vice President Harris on the Democratic ticket, and they will be stumping together in a matter of hours in Philadelphia. Gail.
Weijia, you raised a really good point. 2 weeks ago, we were not talking about Tim Walz, but here we are this morning. Thank you. Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costas is with us now, along with CBS News contributor, that's Ashley Etienne, former Communications Director for Vice President Harris. Ashley, I want to start with you because we just heard from Weijia that Vice President Kamala Harris waited till the very end, had to sleep on it overnight, and apparently made her decision this morning. What do you think went into her thought process and that she waited till right to the bitter end?
Yeah, I think the breadth of Walz's experience is probably what persuaded her most. I mean, being a military veteran, a former teacher, to a chairman in Congress, to an executive governor who rallied his state and moved his state through incredibly tough times, I think makes him incredibly appealing to her and will provide her with this broad perspective that I think she needs, which is, you know, what are the challenges facing the American people? How do we implement legislation? How do we rally Congress around it? And how do we actually get it done on the ground in these states? So I think he's good for her for that reason. And then also what was just mentioned, the fact that he's won in these very tough districts and these tough red leaning districts, I think gives him and gives her the ticket and a leg up when it comes to going into those areas where the 1% and 2%, those independent and disaffected Republicans are. He can speak to them on their level about issues that matter most to them in a way that I think Shapiro and the others could not. And that's going to be value add for her going into this next race when it's going to be decided on the margins.
Ashley, we have live pictures outside of Tim Walz's home right now. I wonder if we could show those because there it is. I wonder what he's thinking at this very moment. And number two, you know Kamala Harris. Do you know if the two of them had a previous friendship or partnership in any way?
Well, he's got to be incredibly excited. I was just chatting with the Attorney General in his state, who's very excited, not just for him, but Keith Ellison, who's also excited for the governor. So I can imagine he's overwhelmed with excitement, but I also know him I know him, as you put earlier, to be very scrappy. And so I can imagine he's ready to get in and get dirty and push back in all kinds of ways. I don't know that they had a really good, solid relationship before this process started. But neither did she with Biden, and neither did Obama with Biden. So I don't think that is a really deciding factor. But I will tell you that he's incredibly funny. He's, direct, well, plain spoken. And I think that'll jive really well with the vice president and her personality.
Yeah, I think people like plain speaking without being mean. Thank you very much, Ashley. And we can say Tim Walz, apparently a good neighbor. He's got a very nice lawn. Let's go now to Robert Costa. Let's go now to Robert Costa, because Robert, people say it doesn't make a ton of electoral sense. What's your take on that and why she picked Governor Walz?
Good to be with you, Gail. In the eyes of many top Democrats close to Vice President Harris, it might not make sense electorally when you're just speaking about a map. But to top Democrats, it does make political sense because they see in Governor Walz someone who can fill the void left by President Biden. President Biden was close to organized labor in this country. He was able to go to places like the industrial Midwest. I was there with him and talk to union members and say, you have to stick with the Democrats. Don't listen to former President Trump. I'm one of you. Let's stick together as traditional Democrats. And Tim Walz, as the Minnesota governor, has built a record, but he's also built a relationship with labor and other key constituencies inside of the Democratic Party. And so he's going to help Vice President Harris rebuild that Biden-Harris coalition ahead of November, along with all of the personal characteristics he does bring to the race. As Ashley said, and as we just so ably reported, he has a personality.
Right,
he has the ability to have a bit of fun, some wit, and he doesn't mind taking a shot at the GOP. And often your role as the VP is to be the attack dog who can do it with a smile.
Well, all right, stand by, Bob. Thank you. Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is in Philadelphia, where Harris and Walz,
they love to go find
no
real record
kick off a tour of the battleground states. Nancy, what are you hearing? What can you tell us?
No track record of success.
Well, one of the things that set Walz apart from all of the other top contenders, Gail, was the fact that he has a variety of different types of leadership experience. Not only is he the chair of the Democratic Governors Association, which is a pretty powerful group, in that capacity, he needs to kind of get all of these strong personalities pointed in the same direction. So he's got deep relationships with other governors. He's going to need that over the next few months. But he's also the only person on that list of 5 or 6 finalists who had both executive leadership experience and legislative leadership experience. He, of course, has been the governor of Minnesota for 6 years now, but before that, he was a member of Congress for 6 terms. He sat on the Armed Services Committee. He sat on Veterans Affairs. So he knows how Congress works. And you could really make the case, Gail, that part of the reason that Biden was able to achieve so many things on his to-do list in his first term was because he had that kind of deep legislative experience. He knew how the levers of power in Congress work. And you can make the case now that Harris, who served less than 1 Senate term in Congress before she became vice president, can really use someone who has 12 years of experience on Capitol Hill.
But it's also interesting, too, though, Nancy, because he was considered a dark horse. I think that's what's fascinating to many people. It seemed to have boiled down to, if you believe what you were hearing in the media, that it would boil down to Josh Shapiro and Mark Kelly. And then lately, over the last week or so, we started hearing the name more and more about Tim Walz. What do you make of that? How he appeared to some to come out of nowhere, and it's like running a race, and all of a sudden he's ahead of the pack.
What I make of it is that all of these people were, having to go from a standing start. And remember, a few weeks ago, we weren't even thinking about any of these people being a running mate because we thought that Kamala Harris was going to be the running mate to President Biden. Suddenly, when that all changed, yes, Pete Buttigieg, probably better known to a national audience. Josh Shapiro, somebody who has been talked about a lot as a person with presidential ambitions. They had the early edge because people knew about them. But Walz proved over the course of a couple of weeks that he had really great communication ability. He had a way of making the case that some of the other top contenders didn't, and that could come in handy, not in necessarily Minnesota, where Democrats haven't lost a presidential race since 1972, but in other Midwestern states, certainly like Wisconsin and Michigan, which are big battleground states this year.
I'm telling you, there seems to be there's something appealing about a guy for people who say it's comfortable talking in a T-shirt and a baseball cap as he is talking in a suit, as he is talking in a tuxedo. I know we got to go, but can we go back to Bob Costa for just a second? Because, Bob, do you think that this was an attempt to satisfy the more liberal wing of the party? What are your thoughts on that?
It's fascinating, Gail, politically, because you look at Governor Tim Walz, and if you know nothing about him, you see a guy who seems amiable, easygoing, can crack a joke, talks about hot dish up in Minnesota, that famous dish they love to do, the casserole, can talk about fishing. But he's also someone, it must be noted, who politically is well-liked by progressives in the House of Representatives, where he once served. Pramila Jayapal, who's the leader of the Progressive Caucus, one of the key progressives in the House, She's been a key stakeholder for him in recent days, saying, I'd love to see Tim Walz on the ticket. So has former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She's been an advocate for him, kind of winking in recent days that she'd love to see a former House colleague land on the ticket. When you have Pramila Jayapal and Nancy Pelosi both being boosters for your vice presidential candidacy, that says a lot, that even though you may seem like kind of a centrist Midwesterner in persona, politically he touches a lot of bases.
Yeah, you mentioned Nancy Pelosi, and I have to say, I just wince a little bit, Bob, because she was just here. She was just here, and of course, she didn't tell us what she was thinking or who was going to be, but now that it's out, would have certainly loved to have gotten her thoughts on that. Ashley, if we could go back to you for just a second. We know that she slept on it and waited till the very last minute. What do you think Tim Walz's assignment will be in this campaign?
Well, I think there's one little tidbit we should all be aware of, and that both of his children were conceived via IVF. So the campaign is saying that he's going to lean into the reproductive rights fight with the vice president. This is the year of the woman. This is an advantage that she has over Donald Trump, and he's going to be an active player leaning into this issue as well. And so to have a man with this level of conviction and his personal story lean in on this issue is going to be interesting to see on the campaign trail. But they think that he'll be an asset when it comes to conveying that message to women, the threat that Donald Trump and Vance pose to their reproductive rights and other rights.
When you joined us on the broadcast earlier, you said that this was going to be a very personal feeling for Kamala Harris. This is someone you know well. So if you could just take us behind the curtain a little bit, personal feelings, how? What do you think that it really, when she went to bed last night, and she woke up this morning, what do you think her first thought was when she said, Tim Walz is the guy for me?
I think it is two things. The one, that he's proven that he can win tough races. And secondly, he's got a deep compassion and conviction for the American people and the plight of the American people. And he's seen it on every end of the political, in every end of the political realm and field. So I think those were the things that probably took her over the edge.
All right. Well, Ashley, thank you very much. Thank you, Bob.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy Cordes. Democrats will soon have a presidential ticket 13 days before their convention in Chicago and 13 weeks before the presidential election. So to recap what you've just heard, Tim Walz has been in office for 5.5 years. He's a current chairman of the Democratic Governors Association. He was also in office during the crisis that followed the murder by police for George Floyd. And he will be the Democratic nominee for vice president, running alongside Kamala Harris. We've been waiting for the last 48 hours about who it was going to be. Now we know. Get used to it, people. Harris, Walz is the ticket. Our campaign coverage will continue on our streaming network with Vlad, CBS News 24/7 on your local news. And tonight on the CBS Evening News. Many of you will now return to your favorite morning show, CBS Mornings. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Gayle King, CBS News here in New York.
All right, y'all. She ain't politically compatible with nobody who standing on something. So that don't help. Because if we're gonna go off, you know what I'm saying, her campaign when she was running to be president, her and Joe ain't politically compatible. What's going on, Uncle Rick? How you doing? You all right? What you say, Eric? I was just in Pennsylvania and I could tell that they sure don't want any Democrats to turn into Trump country. Okay. Listen. Why? What is he bringing to the table, Queen? What is he bringing that the rest of us missing? Yes, I don't care about no IVF. I don't care about no imaginary reproductive rights that y'all claim I don't have. Like, what is he bringing to the table? I mean, I'm seeing that. What working relationships? Did the woman just say she was there less than a term? Come on. Come on. Y'all, let's see what JD Vance got to say about this situation. Now, this I have not seen. So this should be interesting because I ain't had time to watch this. I had business.
Donald J. Trump,
No, they ain't
because
offering
normal
nothing.
people benefit when he's the president of the United States. But first, let me say just a few words, then we'll take some questions from reporters. But let me just start out by saying that Kamala Harris has been such a disaster as vice president of this country that everywhere she goes, chaos and uncertainty follow. We have got a war in Europe. We have got a war in the Middle East that threatens to spiral out of control. We've got chaos in the world financial markets. Everything that Kamala Harris touches has been a disaster, and we have got to kick her out of the United States government, not give her promotion. Now, today in particular, I've already met with some people who have really suffered because of Kamala Harris's border policies.
Can we get some
let's
names,
just count the ways in which our borders are open the American southern border.
Sir?
On day one, Kamala Harris suspended deportations. On day one, Kamala Harris stopped the Remain in Mexico policy that kept our country safe. On day one, borders are Kamala Harris. She stopped construction of the southern border wall. And on day one, she proposed amnesty for millions of illegal aliens in this country. And we know that every time Kamala Harris took an action to open the American southern border, it is families like many of those who stand behind me today who have suffered the most.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
and now, for
6.
the past 2 weeks,
Kamala
Harris has been saying that she wants a promotion. I think we ought to say to Kamala Harris, you're fired, and rehire Donald J. Trump as President of the United States. Now, I want to get everybody's name here, but before I do, I just want to say I'm not going to be able to introduce everybody I've spoken to just this morning and early this afternoon. But you've got people who have lost loved ones just in the last few weeks to gun violence because we won't lock up violent criminals in this country anymore, thanks to the policies of Kamala Harris. You've got children who have been orphaned, who have been bouncing around foster homes because Kamala Harris's policies allow this terrible fentanyl into our country that orphan these poor kids.
I don't agree with that.
And you've got parents who have lost loved ones, who have lost children because we keep on allowing the Mexican drug cartels to turn our country into a drug trafficking zone. It is normal people who suffer when Kamala Harris refuses to do her job, and it is normal people who stand to benefit the most when we re-elect Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. And that's what we're going to do, right? That's exactly what we're going to do. So I want to make sure I get these names right, but I want to thank Dave Torres for being here. Great American. Amanda Navarro is here with us. We've got Jack Kilkus and we've got Terry Stark. Again, these are people whose loved ones have suffered and some cases died because Kamala Harris doesn't do her job. And I want to invite a few people up to just give some personal testimony. And before I do, I want to say what amazing personal courage it takes to be here and to be willing to offer your personal story. I know it's not easy, and I know this is sad, heart-wrenching stuff, but the American people need to understand what are the consequences of screwing up this election. And so I appreciate you all being here very much. So first, I want to start with Denise and Mike Trask. Trask, you guys want to come up here? Thank you all. God bless you.
Thank you for having us today. Our daughter Jacqueline is the oldest of our 5 children. Jack was always a fearless, free spirit who was full of adventure and sometimes mischief. I'm proud to selfishly boast that we've raised our kids with good morals, values, and kind hearts. We are a God-loving and God-fearing family that never would have imagined we'd go through the devastation and torment of addiction. Yet here it was, directly impacting our lives. It crept right under our front door into our home and had no regard that our baby was a good girl, that our family was a grateful and prayerful unit, or even that my own husband was a Philadelphia narcotics officer. We learned fast that addiction knows no race, no religion, no economic status, and has no limits. It was devastating to endure, the most helpless
all
thing
got something
imaginable
Hold
as
on,
her
Miss
parents.
Lamb, I hate you done went through all of that now, but addiction got the same thing to do. I don't care who is involved with, something be missing. So now I be hating y'all got to bury y'all kids and everything, but a lot of y'all ain't up on here telling the truth about what the hell was going on. Because all of this, you know what I'm saying, fentanyl just showed up, you know what I'm saying, after the illegals and the Chinese brought that over here. I'm not riding for that, because I'm sorry, but don't nobody on this planet know how to get gas like white folk. Shit, we gonna not do that. Ain't a group of people on this planet know how to get gas like white folk. Child, they'll take my medication, your medication, great grandmama medication, mama medication from 10 years ago, then go huff, get some damn spray paint and some motion, some damn rubber alcohol and some fucking gasoline. Don't nobody on this planet know how to get gas like they do. So we're not gonna blame them falling out fucking with that fentanyl, because what did they think they was taking if they didn't know they was taking fentanyl? See, it's the part that nobody never want to answer. See, we got time today. I got time. I got a little bit of time. What did they think they was taking if they didn't know they was taking fentanyl? See, so the problem is that the problem wasn't that they was taking shit to try to cope with something that don't nobody never want to talk about. The problem was that the shit they was taking was laced with fentanyl. That's what I keep getting out of this. That's not acceptable. I'm sorry. No, I ain't gonna be able to do that. Y'all got to tell me something else. So let's continue on with the story. Child Derek, I hope you feel better.
We tried any and everything possible. After a few years of complete hell, Jack reached her bottom. She admitted herself into an amazing program called FRAT, First Responders Addiction Treatment, at the Livingren Foundation. Jacqueline was an EMT. She got herself clean and sober, and we got our daughter back. She lived 2 beautiful years in sobriety and shared her story at numerous meetings in and around Philadelphia. She touched people when she spoke. If you were blessed to be in her company, you'd never forget her. Her heart was gold and fair and never critical. Life was amazing once again for Jack and for our family. That is until May 1st, 2016, when she had a lapse in judgment, when she had an awful trigger, and when she had tunnel vision of only one thing, and bought herself a bag of heroin that, of course, was laced with fentanyl. And our 26-year-old daughter died of an accidental overdose in her car in a mall parking lot in broad daylight alone. We like to think of Jack's passing as God's way of relieving her from her pain. It helps us cope with our constant heartache and great loss. We imagine that he saw how broken she was and that he freed her from the struggles she was battling with. He took her home with him, and one day we will all be reunited with her.
Hold up.
There's great comfort
wait a minute. Did I hear that correctly, y'all? Her ODing was God bringing her home. Is that what I just heard? I ain't gonna be able to do this with y'all today. I ain't gonna be able to do it. I ain't gonna be able to do this with y'all today, because I for real think that's what I just heard. What was her trigger? What started her on the road to addiction in the first place? So for somebody who had been in rehab, y'all supposed to know that. Ain't that, well, excuse me, because again, I've had people in my family that have, you know what I'm saying, been addicts and have gone to rehab and got their life together. And you know what I'm saying, they was able to, I was like, cuz, I mean, what happened? And I was able to get the whole story. Let me go back, because I could have sworn she said, you know what I'm saying? Okay, but denial ain't coping. Denial ain't resolution. Let me go back, because I could have swore I heard. Let me go back.
In her car, in a mall parking lot, in broad daylight alone.
We
We like to think of Jack's passing as God's way of relieving her from her pain.
No,
It helps us cope with our constant heartache and great loss.
okay, it is.
We imagine that he saw how broken she was and that he freed her from the struggles she was battling with. He took her home with him, and one day we will all be reunited with her. There's great comfort in that. Our added note here to Jacqueline's story is yes, heroin, cocaine, alcohol, pills, all of the street drugs out there are lethal in and of themselves. But the fentanyl coming right into our country, our cities, and our neighborhoods is killing thousands and thousands of people every day. It's tremendously deadly, and we're losing our loved ones at an alarming rate because of its potency and infestation into the illegal drug market. The border travesty that this current administration has neglected, allowed, and even supported is infuriating and, quite frankly, complete lunacy on multiple levels. I pray we get ahead of it. I pray our borders are secured once again. I pray for all those affected by addiction and all of its ugliness. I pray it never touches my other children who work every day as public servants for this city as a police officer and a medical professional. And lastly, I pray that our country is restored again, safe again, respected again, economically stable again, and elects our former President Donald J. Trump again, along with U.S. Senator J.D. Vance as his vice president in November. Lord, hear our prayers and let's make America great again.
Okay, y'all. This my thing. JD, you gonna have to do me better than this. I'm sorry. You gonna have to, for real. Cocaine, heroin, you know what I'm saying? All that kind of shit is from the poppy plant, which you have to grow. So to say that, you know what I'm saying, cocaine and all that good stuff is trafficked over here, I agree with that, because we really don't have the climate to grow that here. Fentanyl, on the other hand, is 100% synthetic. If they supposed to be third world countries and oh so poor and they got to come over here for that salvation and shit, how the hell they got money to be mixing up fentanyl? Y'all gonna cut the foolishness. Y'all know damn well they ain't over there mixing up no fentanyl, bringing that shit over here with them. Hell, if they was doing all of that, they wouldn't need to come over here. They be paid. They don't have to come up. If they was mixing fentanyl, they don't have to come over here for nothing. We gonna try this again. We're gonna try this one more time. Stop telling that fentanyl lie. You're lying, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. Y'all know that ain't true. Y'all, if folks don't ever want to talk about why their kids be strung the fuck out. Again, I hate that for you. Things happen. But ma'am, you're gonna need to be honest about what's going on. And I don't see none of that transpiring. So we gonna quit. We gonna quit. What you say, Derek? Fentanyl was made by Johnson & Johnson, the same people that make Narcan. Thank you. That shit is synthetic. How the hell they got the materials that made fentanyl, but we don't? Shit. Okay. Because wasn't fentanyl originally made and used as a sedative during surgery? It wasn't called fentanyl, but it was called something else. Way back in the day. We're gonna try this shit again. They ain't brought that over here. Oh no, don't put that on them. They know some stuff, but that ain't it.
Thank you both so much for that testimony. And I now want to introduce Geraldine Briggs, who again is another American who has suffered because of these terrible policies that we have. So thank you to the Trask for your incredible courage. And Geraldine, would you come say a few words too?
All right, what you do?
I would just like to start by saying thank you in advance for listening with an open heart and not a dismissive ear. As a young melanated woman from Philadelphia, I feel compelled to address the opioid crisis that is affecting our communities in Philadelphia, and a city that I love has been impacted by crime. I've watched an incline in numbers of homeless people, drug addicts, and murderers than ever before, dare I say it, since President Biden has been in office. Democrats' soft on crime policies
girl. Hold on.
have led.
Hold the hell on. I can't let you tell that lie. Philadelphia was fucked up before Biden got into office. We ain't finna do that. I love Philly. You know what I'm saying? Hell, my daddy was born there. Listen, that no ma'am. Philly been fucked up. We can't put that on Joe. I can't let you do that. Now, Joe done some shit, but I can't even let you do that. Philly been towed up. But we're gonna continue on with the story. She started talking about her kid. I'm gonna be going through something because now this woman that sat up here got a husband for support, and then here you come by yourself. But let me let her talk.
Led to the city I once knew to become unrecognizable. Unfortunately, I've had to deal with witnessing opioid addiction firsthand. For many years now, I have a brother that battles with this addiction. Today, way more than before, it's too easily accessible, which means it doesn't stop in our communities. These are not racially profiled drugs. The rehabilitation centers prove that. This crisis knows no demographic, income, family history. It affects millions nationwide. Democrats claim to have cleaned up the streets in Philadelphia, but it has not worked. The border crisis has led to an influx of drugs coming across the border and impacting families like mine throughout the city. This crisis has gotten even worse under Biden-Harris. Biden and Harris are not doing anything to help us. What would it change under Kamala? What happens when it hits your neighborhoods, your homes? My mother keeps Novocaine in her closet just in case my brother does not awake on his own after taking drugs. You can purchase opioids from just about anywhere besides in-store purchase. And what are Democrats doing about this? Nothing. Democrats have and continue to turn a blind eye, bringing the crime rates all the way up. People are killing to steal it. People are killing to maintain territory, selling it. And people are killing themselves using it. I'm sorry. Murders are going unsolved. People continue to die. A lot of us continue to live in fear in our communities.
With that too.
We need leaders who will restore our once beautiful cities and towns. We need leaders who will not make us walk into a drugstore and have to ask an attendant to get an Advil, everyday items out of locked glasses, because the store gets robbed every day. We need President Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance to be our next president and vice president, or our beloved Philadelphia will continue to spiral. This has to end, and I am proud to be one of the voices that stand against it. Thank you, Senator Vance.
I'm gonna say this right here.
And thank you, Donald Trump. Please.
Okay, now, just like with the first woman, folks ain't really taking all the responsibility they needs to be taken. You are getting high. You can't come sleep in my house, and I definitely ain't keeping Norcan on standby. So when I go check on your ass after you ain't woke up to see if you're in the midst of ODing or not, I'm just not, or walking around and you ain't alive no more. I'm not finna buy this shit. Now one thing I can say, you know what I'm saying, Trump has been real upfront about how he gonna handle this crime. He locking your ass up. All this, you gonna come in and do a smash and grab in the store, and people just got to stand by and let you do what you want to do. He's like, no, hell no, you're going to jail. I can support that. I'm sorry, but I support that. I support all of that. Lock their ass up. I'm in full support. So yeah, if you busy, you know what I'm saying, doing some time because you can't get your life together, you might be a little more inclined to get your life together. So on that, what you say? Child, it'd be a lot happening in Philadelphia. Listen, Philadelphia can be the most wonderful, most adventurous, most peaceful, most everything is placed, or it could be straight hell. Just depends on what you want to make it and what you're trying to do with your life. I have a good time in Philadelphia, but again, I ain't, somewhere trying to get high. So it is what it is. But as far as today, Derek, JD Vance is having a rally there, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are having a rally in Philadelphia as well. So today, Philly is the political capital of the nation.
I really, really hope we win this, and I really have faith in this. Thank you so much.
It's tough not to admire the courage of the two families behind me, but I have to ask, why is it necessary? Why are they suffering? And the answer is because we have a leadership that is failing them. I want to tell my own personal story here because it touches on a little bit of what they talked about. I remember when my own mom struggled with addiction, and my grandmother raised me for a big chunk of my early life. And I remember after one particularly bad overdose, sitting beside her bed and being just angry that mom had taken this stuff to begin with, but then just desperately hoping and praying, Jesus, please let her wake up from this. And that's what addiction does to our families. It sort of combines this incredible frustration, but also we still love the people who suffer, and we still want them to get better, even when we're frustrated when they take a wrong turn. But what I got with my mom, who's been clean and sober for nearly 10 years now, thank you. And hearing these stories, I almost feel guilty that I got it, but I'm so grateful that we got that second chance with my mom, because now I've got, my oldest kid is 7 years old, and the only thing that he knows about mom is that she's the best grandma a boy could ask for. And I want more of you and more of the families here in Philadelphia to get that second chance with a loved one. I want them to have another opportunity to get back on that horse and get clean, knowing that sometimes they're going to fall off the horse, but we want to give them another opportunity to get back on. I want a leadership that makes our streets safe enough where kids can make a mistake without it taking their lives from them. I want a country where our leaders put the interests of our citizens first, and I want Donald J. Trump to be back in the White House because he's the only person to do exactly that. Now, I want to say just two things here before I take some questions from the media. The first is, again, thank you all for being here. Seriously, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. We could do so much better. We could do so much better in this country with better leadership. We could give kids those second chances, and we could make sure that the next time we're here in Philadelphia, we're hearing stories of triumph and hope, of second chances successful, and not of kids who have lost their lives. We've just got to have better leadership. But the second message I want to leave you with, and this is for the media, because there are real stories to tell. There are real heartbreaks and real stories of hope and triumph. But there is a person who is asking, she's going to be here later today, Kamala Harris, our border czar, is asking the American people to make her the next president of the United States. And yet for 16, thank you. And yet for 16 days and counting, the American media has been unable to ask her a question. Now, agree or disagree with me and President Trump, nobody would dispute that we will go anywhere and we will talk to anyone and we will answer any question because we will answer any question because we think we owe it to the American people to try to persuade them instead of running from them. And that's what Kamala Harris has done. She is running a basement campaign where she refuses to go before the free press and actually answer their questions. Well, what kind of an election can you have if your own presidential candidate won't actually answer tough questions? And so I'd ask the American media to show a little bit of shame and to demand that before you give Kamala Harris your endorsement, and that's what the media has done, you at least force her to answer some tough questions and to stand before the American people and persuade them. Thank you. Kamala Harris ought to stand before the American people and persuade them of why she's the right choice. She ought to answer for the fact that she wanted to ban fracking and now she allegedly doesn't. She ought to answer for the fact that she wanted to defund the police. She ought to answer for the fact that she opened up the American southern border, and she ought to answer for the fact that groceries are unaffordable and housing is unaffordable because of her policies. So to the media, please, for the love of God, do a better job. The American people demand it. Thank you all for being here. God bless you guys. I love you all. And I'm especially grateful to the folks behind me for offering testimony so people can understand what the consequences are of failed leadership. God bless you all and thank you.
Y'all doing a lot with the climate. Really?
All right. Calm down. We've got to give the fake news a few questions here. I'm sure we have.
Wow.
I'm sure we have, hopefully, a few honest journalists here in the audience. Ma'am.
Let me hear these questions. Nah, because we ain't gonna be on here long because we coming back later on. So I ain't dropping no links, not yet.
So first of all, the reason I didn't say a whole lot about Tim Walz is because the Democrats have showed a willingness to pull a little switcheroo on us. So I don't even know if we're actually going to get Tim Walz out of this campaign.
Wow.
And I think that a lot of us are asking ourselves, well, it's not going to be official until the Democrats actually nominate him, I guess, at their convention next week. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, look, Tim Walz's record is a joke. He's been one of the most far left radicals in the entire United States government at any level. But I think that what Tim Walz's selection says is that Kamala Harris has bent the knee to the far left of her party, which is what she always does. Kamala Harris listened to the Hamas wing of the party. She selected Tim Walz, a guy who wants to ship more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to give illegal aliens driver's license, and who wants to make the fentanyl crisis that we just heard about so much worse because he refuses to do his job and actually make it easier for American citizens and not illegal aliens to live a good life. So I think what it says is that Kamala Harris is running as a San Francisco liberal. She is governed as a San Francisco liberal, and she's chosen a running mate who will be a San Francisco-style liberal. The last thing that I'll say about Tim Walz is, to her credit, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz do make an interesting team, because if we remember the rioting in the summer of 2020, Tim Walz was the guy who let rioters burn down Minneapolis, and then Kamala Harris was the one who bailed the rioters out of jail. So there's an interesting team in that sense. Sir.
It's there if you want it, Derek.
Well, if you build a 100-foot wall, you're going to have a lot fewer illegal aliens coming into this country, and it's obvious, and it worked when Donald Trump was president. Look, No one has ever said a wall keeps out 100% of illegal aliens, but if it keeps out 98%, I'd say we're doing pretty good. And that means less fentanyl, less drugs, and less crime coming into our communities. So I was at the border just a few days ago. It's a lot hotter down there in South Arizona than it is here in Philadelphia. And I remember seeing the slats of border wall just sitting on the ground. And why are they sitting on the ground instead of being constructed? Because Kamala Harris.
We saw you when you was there, sir. We saw. Hey, Derek.
Hey, I just wanted to say real quick.
Hey.
About this drug thing that seemed like it comes up every election year. This goes all the way back to the 60s when Nixon had the so-called drug czar. And they were fine with the drugs being in the hood. People, please do your research. When the drugs started affecting the right community with LSD, if LSD was big back then, marijuana, all of a sudden we got war on drugs. Every election year we have war on drugs. They parade people in front of the camera saying how the drugs, now it's fentanyl, and opioids. Opioids are painkillers. And like I said in the chat before, Johnson & Johnson made fentanyl. It was two companies that made fentanyl, and the same companies that made fentanyl also make Narcan. There's a documentary about it on Netflix. I forget the name. Please look it up. This war on drugs will never end because it makes money. Not just, for the lower level drug dealer, but it goes all the way up to the politicians. People make money. I can guarantee if you look up the Iran-Contra and how they put crack cocaine in the neighborhood and they took the money and they benefited from it, just please, people, do your research. Don't let them, hoodwink you in on this war on drugs because it never ends. It's every year, every election year, every presidential year. They talk about the war on drugs, to parade people in front of the camera. Just do your research about it. And, there's another drug out there that's stronger than fentanyl. I forget what it's called. It used to be cocaine, used to be marijuana, used to be LSD, used to be black tar. Now it's fentanyl. It'll never end because the government makes money off of it. Why you think we have the prisons? We have private prisons now. They have created a pipeline to it. I'm getting off the subject. Please do your research on everything they tell you. Don't vote by party lines. Vote by what you think is right or wrong. I know people are voting for Kamala Harris just because she's a woman and they don't know her policies. So do your research, please. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you personally have any experience, with the consequences of drug use? Like, you or anybody in your family?
My excuse me. My aunt got hooked on crack cocaine, and it tore apart my uncle's family and everything, and he ended up leaving her. Yeah, I didn't had a personal thing. When my brother had his heart attack, they administered him Narcan because they thought he had overdosed, and they spend so much time giving him I think 2 doses of Narcan instead of just trying to revive him. And he didn't have any drugs in his system. My brother never did drugs, but unfortunately, his wife at the time, at one time or another, got hooked on some heavy drugs. He didn't tell me what it was, but they ended up living in a shelter. I didn't know anything about it. And he told me later, he stuck by his wife, and there was something when the paramedics went to my brother's house. Something tipped them off that to administer Narcan. I didn't get into it because by the time my brother made it to the hospital, he was brain dead. And the most difficult, I didn't have some difficult things in my life, and the most difficult things that I have gone through is watching them disconnect the life support because my brother was brain dead, and I watched him slip away. So yeah, I didn't have personal experience with it. Me myself, I smoke weed, and I've been telling people all for a long time. As soon as the government figure out how to make money off of weed, it's going to be legal, and that's where it is now in so many states. On a state level, is legal. On a federal level, is not legal. They can't put the money that they make into a bank, because if they do, it's called laundering. So on the federal level, weed is still up there with cocaine and everything else. But just look at the history during Vietnam, how heroin and cocaine came to the United States. Just the history is there. All we have to do is pick up a book, visit a website, watch a documentary, and you'll learn about the so-called war on drugs. It's never going to end. It's never going to end. It will never end, because not only like I said, the lower level people make money, but this goes all the way up the ladder. And they don't want you to ask questions. All they do is parade people in front of the camera, and the people tell their horror stories on how it affect them. And you can sympathize, you can empathize with them, but you got to ask questions. How are these drugs getting into the country? And they say it's crossing the border. I say it's already been manufactured here.
Exactly.
When you got companies, I'm gonna keep saying it, they can sue me if they want to. I don't got no money. Johnson & Johnson. Look up the history of Johnson & Johnson. Look at how they put, how they knew that the baby powder was going to cause cancer in women. They knew that.
At first, I don't believe that either, because the first thing they do as soon as you come out the damn womb and they wash you off is put baby powder on you. So that means if baby powder causes cancer, we all be fucked up.
They have records.
See how that don't work?
They have records of it. They knew, all these companies knew that what the product they put out can cause adverse effects in people, and it's all about the mighty dollar. Cocaine used to be in Coca-Cola, and they took that out. You used to get some kind of medication like Formula 44D, and you could barely find that anywhere. Now they putting crystal meth is made from Sudafed, and only way to get that is to go to the back of the pharmacy, and then you can't buy so many of them at the time, but you can buy everything you need to create street level drugs like ecstasy, like fentanyl. I mean, come on, it's being manufactured here, and we're worried about the border. Yes, We should secure the border. Yes, we should do that. Monitor people coming over, but they talk about they coming over and they killing people. And when we kill each other here, people, please don't fall for the okie doke. They are preying on your fears. Both Democrats and Republicans do not. I tell people, don't vote along party lines. Vote for whoever is speaking to your conscience. What speaks to me, how these illegal migrants or immigrants are getting thousands of dollars, free rent and board, walking around with pocket money. And I've been working in this country since I was 14, and I have to jump through hoops just to get disability. Then with my disability, I can afford market rent, but they want me to make 3 times the rent. So my only other choice is to get a place in a high crime area. When these MFers are up in New York, living their best life, come on, man. That speaks to me. And because Trump is against it and JD is against it, I'm against it. That's what I'm voting for. That's why I'm voting Republican. The war on drugs, they're going to parade that, and every time they speak, you're going to have people that are that it speaks to them because it affected their family, and they're going to vote for whoever they think is stronger against that. I'm against Tyson out in the central U.S. or they fire. Look it up. Please don't take my word for it. They were firing all their workers to hire migrant workers at a cheaper cost and giving them lawyers so they can apply for citizenship. The Democrats have created a huge voting bloc. People, don't be fooled. They have created a huge voting bloc. Of course, the people
they
can't
trying
vote.
to, but it ain't working because they
Right.
trying to create a huge voting block. Because once them people, you know what I'm saying, get over here and you know what I'm saying, get on a little bit, then the first thing they do is want to go be like Zaddy, so they go vote with Zaddy. That's why they keep having to do this, because it don't work.
Right, but the people have people already here. So they know people here. That people, it's like us getting together over a game of spades and playing spades and discussing issues that affect us. That's what they're doing. Remember a couple months ago, they had that angry Spanish guy he made a TikTok video or something telling people how to become squatters.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy. That's crazy. That's allowed by the Democrats. Everything that unfortunately, I voted Democrat all my life because I was raised that the Democrats do the most for the black people. That's a lie. Do your research. See what the Republicans did. See that the original abolitionists were Republicans and all the slave owners were Democrats. And then somewhere around the 50s and 60s, especially when the Democrats discovered a way how to get the father out of the home by using welfare. Do your research, people. Please don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Just spend time, click, print, read for yourself, please. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. My bad. Ohio in the house.
Lord. Hey, Nez Press, how you doing? Hold on, because there was one other thing I wanted to look at. Because he just got folks on here telling they drug story, and I don't really want to hear none of that. Hold on. This was some research done by Okay, I was ready to get ready to storm somewhere because my stuff is slow. Yeah, Melanie, how long is it gonna take for you to eat this crow? Because you was all over the thing. And let me pat myself on the back. I got the information. It wasn't none of that shit, right? I'm looking for Professor Nez. This was a post from shout out to Professor Nez. Hold on. All right, it says, welcome to the race, Tim Walz. Let's make sure America knows who you are. All right, so it says you helped ignite the George Floyd riots, the worst the country has seen in decades. While Minneapolis burned, you stalled on deploying the National Guard for an entire day, blaming the city for not submitting the right paperwork. You let your daughter leak the Guard's deployment plans online so that rioters knew how long they had to loot the city with impunity. Minneapolis is the war zone because of you. All right. Then goes on to say, second thing, just days after the attempted murder of Donald Trump, you called him and his supporters, what do you call it, fascists, egging on the same rhetoric that led to him being shot in the first place. Oh, Lord. Said you have overseen some of the most radical youth trans surgery laws in the country. Under your leadership, teenagers can get their breasts chopped off, get sterilized, and your government calls it, quote, healthcare. It also
Get your
goes on to say,
breasts chopped off?
huh?
You said get your breasts chopped off?
Yeah. Female teenagers who say they want to be a man in Minnesota can go get their breasts chopped off and sterilized in their quest to become what they consider a man.
Wow.
He says they have the most radical abortion laws in the country. 0 limits. Every year, 5 to 6 babies are born alive and then red rum legally under your support. Who under laws you support? He also says on immigration, you famously said you wanted to provide a ladder so that invaders can come over Trump's wall. You are a radical, open border. Damn, call him a zealot. Says he also oversaw the single worst fraud of the COVID era, feeding our future case. Thanks to the ineptitude of your Department of Education, criminals stole $250 million of taxpayer dollars to spend on luxury cars, houses, and vacations. Jesus. Also during COVID, he approved $500 million in, quote, hero pay for frontline workers, only to have 40% of that money go to people who are ineligible or, in many cases, literally deceased.
Wow.
Oh, Lord. He said, in the House, you were Pelosi's sidekick and did whatever the Democrats demanded. Says you also try to disguise yourself as a folksy Midwestern moderate. In reality, you are a white male version of Kamala Harris, radical, inept, undeserving of being in leadership. Wow. He said, make sure this goes viral, ruin their honeymoon. Let's educate millions because the media will not. And
No,
he literally
won't.
got a picture of Minneapolis burning during the riots. Eric said them nothing but facts.
Facts.
Folks ain't feeling it.
That's a strong picture right there
That's what I'm saying.
of the building burner and the American flag seems tattered.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strong impression. It's funny, I'm old enough to remember when they used to burn the American flag in protest.
Child, yeah. Don't you remember you used to have to do some time for that.
And now they get mad if you take a kneel during the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had some family members that served in Vietnam. My uncle Greg served. My dad was in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I know a guy that's in the police force. I know him personally. So I support a strong police force. I support a strong military. But what I don't support is the idiots that they employ. The guys who think they're above the law while enforcing the law at the same time. And we know who and where I'm talking about. It seems like every month we get a mass shooter, and they talk about it for a month or two, and then we get that sister who was shot in the face by the cop right before he said, "I'm gonna shoot you in your face." And now they don't even talk about that in the news. They'll never control the gun laws because there are some parts of the Constitution that I believe is antiquated, like the right to bear arms. That was done because people do your research. Look at the dates. Look at the dates. The right to bear arms was made after the slaves were freed because white plantation owners were afraid of the slaves. Look at do the research. Don't believe me. I read a lot and I watch a lot of documentaries. But do your own research. I gave you a gem to uncover, and you just have to do your own research. Learn for yourself and then pass on what you learned. That's what I do to my little girl. Let me get off my soapbox. When it comes to politics, I can hold my own.
Okay.
That's why I don't run for politics. I would be one of them dudes that be like Jesse Ventura when he ran for politics. They don't want me in there. They don't. Look at the movie Birth of a Nation, how they use that movie to recruit Klan members. And this is how that they all white people think that black people love fried chicken and are chicken thieves, and all we do is eat watermelon. Just look at the history of stuff before you endorse it. That's all I'm saying.
I can dig it. All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and what? Shut up. What's wrong, Rick? What's wrong? Before we go, because we're gonna be back soon.
Is he telling me to shut up?
I don't know.
Sometimes I get going. That's true.
Oh, don't do that.
But that's okay.
No,
that's America for you.
I'm sure he got.
When they don't agree with what you say, they tell you to shut up instead of looking at the facts. That's called ad hominem, attacking the person rather than the facts.
Okay, y'all. Listen. What's wrong, Rick? Hold
on. What VBN at? He should be backing me up.
Hold on.
I need my brother to back me up. Ed Jordan backs me up.
Yeah, he just came walking through here a few minutes ago. All right, y'all. So it looks like at 5:30, it's like we're gonna see Kamala and Walz first. So that's about 2 hours.
Have to watch her. Do we have to?
Yes, because we are providing fair and balanced coverage. We showing everybody.
All right.
So that people can make an informed decision. Just like we cover the RNC, we covering the DNC. So yeah. But what, about 10 days out from that? So yeah.
All right.
So y'all go get your snacks, get your dinner together, whatever it is you need to do, because at 5:30 we're gonna be back. so we can hear what the hell. You know, she don't take long. She don't talk long, and hopefully he don't talk long. So
is Megan Thee Stallion gonna be there?
I don't even know. I don't know. Hell, this Philly, so she might have damn, who could she get? I don't know. Yeah, Cause me ain't rocking with her. I don't know. Maybe she can find a street rapper or something. But we gonna be back at 5:30 with coverage of the talking about Wallow. I know, right? Listen, we gonna be back at 5:30 with more live coverage. So y'all, you know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all in a few. I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Again, Kamala Harris has picked her running mate, governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz.
I don't know nothing about him.
Well, you didn't Professor Nash just tell you what was going on?
Yeah, until then, I didn't know anything about him.
Because I was told that in Minnesota, I was like, it's something. Because I was at you speaking of VB, I was like, what the hell happened? I said, something with black people popped off in Minnesota. I had to Google that because at first I thought it was Mike Brown. Then I was like, let me keep looking. That's a George Floyd shit popped off. And yeah, anybody notice that? So first we got the Sonya Massey situation with the police. Now here we come, and we gonna piggyback with the damn dude who was in charge when the George Floyd situation popped out. All right.
There's still not a George Floyd bill, is it?
No.
Yeah.
We talked about it was a couple of streams ago. We talked about why. But we can get into it tonight. So yeah, y'all, it's yeah. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, and I will see y'all at 5:30. Get your snacks, get your water, get your soda, get your drinks.
I got my water.
And pull yourself together so you can make it for the long haul.
You know I'm trying. Nothing beats a failure but a try.
Exactly. So yeah, go ahead and get right, get tight, and I will see y'all at 5:30.
Peace.
Appreciate y'all for stopping by.
Whoa.